Welcome to a daily dose of anime recaps, where we help you find your next favorite anime and give you just enough information about the newest anime out there to get you through the conversation with your anime-loving friends. Today we'll be looking at Against the Sky Supreme, a Chinese martial arts and cultivation anime about trust, deception, and power struggles that can destabilize an entire universe. We begin with a look at a god realm, where demons are converging on a great pillar of power, and a white-haired figure flies in to intercept them. On the ground, a silver-haired man by the name of Jiutian fights the demons off with his spear. The white-haired young man, Hong Ming, flies in to his rescue, using lightning to bounce between enemies and dispatch them all at once with his sword. He fires off a spell that dissipates a dark magic fog on the battleground, which enables the last member of their team, Sinan, to defeat the last of the demonic enemies with his shield. He thanks Hong Ming for helping out, and Hong Ming waves him off, saying it's lucky he managed to rush straight into his god realm, and that it's something that he would do anytime for his comrade. Suddenly, as they are exchanging friendly after-battle banter, a very powerful demon appears behind Xingtian in a tower of dark flames, and Hong Min rushes in to protect his friend's unguarded back. Unfortunately, Hong Min is injured as he defeats the demon, but he manages to land, meaning his injuries aren't life-threatening. Suspiciously, Xingtian and Sinan exchange a dark look, and just as Hong Min is about to turn around to reassure his friends that he is okay, Xingyan rushes in, stabbing Hong Min in the abdomen, wounding him fatally. As Hong Min lies on the ground, dying, Xingyan and Xingtian reveal a part of their plan to him, saying that Xingyan wants to take control of Hong Min's god realm, and they can only do this by killing him. But if they destroy his immortal soul as well, the god realm might collapse, so they have to curse his soul to reincarnate until the end of the world. Hong Min, struggling to stay alive, looks into Xingyan's face and says that it's no wonder that demons were invading his god realm, with a soul so dark and wicked. He also realizes that this was all a ploy, because Xingtian didn't even try to dodge the demon's attack, instead letting Hong Min rush in and sacrifice himself. As a last request, Hong Min asks Xingtian to let his wife and children live. Xingtian doesn't react to this, and Sinan kills him. His soul leaves its vessel, so Xingtian and Sinan waste no time casting their curse on his soul, which flies off into the universe. In the mortal realm, a man is walking up to a house, and as the soul flies past him, we can just barely see the resemblance of Hong Min in him. The soul continues its journey until it reaches the house in which a pair is preparing to become intimate. The woman, Ruyan, in a red wedding dress, is savoring the plan she and the man with her, Jianan, had hatched to take control of the Tan family. She is to marry the heir to the family, and as soon as their marriage has been sealed before the heavens by drinking the poisoned wine, the heir shall die, and she will also be the sole heiress to the dynasty. Once that happens, she will marry Jianan, who will join his wife's stronger position and become a member of the Tan family. The man the soul flew past moments before catches them in the act, almost as if the soul guided him to the scheming pair. But instead of flying apart like a pair of lovers caught together, they only embrace firmly and begin to taunt the man. At this point, we have the chance to see the man's face from up close, and we can see that he has the same face tattoo as Hong Min had. We also learn that this man's face is Tan Yun. Jianan wastes no time explaining his evil plot to Tan Yun. Instead, he just starts fighting him, beating him nearly to death, and leaving him in the room where they were caught scheming with Ruyan. The soul finally stops at Tan Yun, and Hong Min's voice can be heard, saying Tan Yun may not die yet, and that the soul will give him a new chance in life. It flies into the body, reviving him and giving Tan Yun the memories of Hong Min. As Tan Yun recovers, a lovely woman, Nanyu Qinggong, walks into the room. She explains that she was sent by Tan Yun's parents, her adoptive parents, to come check up on him, and Tan Yun, with Hong Min's memories, recognizes her as the reincarnation of a woman from Hong Min's life that he was in love with. He vows to never leave her ever again. He tells her to pick a wedding dress for herself because she will need it. Yu Qian is confused by this because all she knows is that Tan Yun is marrying Ruyan, who already has her own dress. Tan Yun leaves, and Yu Qian laments how much she would love to marry Tan Yun, but cannot. because her status is too low to marry the heir to the Tan family. The next day arrives, and with it the wedding. The families of the marrying couple are already in attendance, as are the other guests, and the bride-to-be, Ruyan, and the waiter of the ceremony are waiting for Tan Yun to show up. The guests whisper about the missing Tan Yun, and Tan Yun's father cannot stand it anymore, telling the waiter to start the wedding even though his son is absent. Just as the ceremony is about to begin without him, Tan Yun arrives at the last moment. The guests and the royal families are relieved that the wedding can continue as planned, but Tan Yun surprises everyone by canceling the wedding right before it can happen. The bride's father is most outraged by this, turning to Tan Yun's father, insisting that canceling the wedding in front of everyone like this disgraces his daughter Ruyan. Tan Yun's father reacts to this by approaching his son and demanding an explanation, but his mother rushes between them and begs her husband to not harm their only son. Sick of this, Ruyan's father commences a showdown, and he is soon joined by Jianan's father. Without missing a beat, Ruyan asks her father to avenge her disgrace, egging the men on to turn to violence. Tan Yun provides evidence of a conspiracy by pointing out that the wine used in the ceremony was poison, and he demonstrates this by making the waiter, who has been carrying the wine all this time and was responsible for poisoning it, to drink it, killing him on the spot. He accuses the Lu and Situ patriarchs, Ruyan's and Jianan's fathers respectively, of this conspiracy to take over the Tan dynasty through their children and get all their power for themselves. But they only laugh him off because he has no proof of this besides a pitcher of poisoned wine, and anyone could have bribed the waiter to poison it. Tan Yun calls out to the Master of Medicine, Bai, who was also in attendance as a guest to mediate in this conflict, using his reason and wisdom to reach the correct conclusion. Master Bai, however, agrees with the Lu and Situ patriarchs, saying that Tan Yun has no evidence of them being behind the conspiracy to take over the Tan dynasty, so unfortunately, he cannot help them. While all of this is going on, the other guests of the now canceled wedding are discussing who is most likely to win if it came to a fight, saying that while the Tan patriarch has reached a higher level of fetal spirit cultivation than either the Lu or Situ patriarch, they might just be able to win the fight. The Master of Medicine Bai, however, has the highest level of fetal spirit cultivation of all the four men, but has recently plateaued, and he has been looking for the right fetal spirit pills recipe to make a breakthrough in his power level. Knowing this, Tan Yun calls out to Master of Medicine Bai, telling him that he has a prescription, or rather the recipe, to the fetal spirit pills Master of Medicine Bai requires to raise his level of cultivation, which immediately catches the Master's attention. Tan Yun gets Master of Medicine Bai to provide him a jade scroll, but he wants his word to protect the Tan family for 1 month in exchange for this recipe. Once Master of Medicine Bai agrees, Tan Yun concentrates on the knowledge he received from Hong Men and inscribes the correct recipe for the fetal spirit pills on the scroll. Master of Medicine Bai looks over the recipe and starts laughing, saying that it's no wonder that he hasn't managed to make the right recipe yet, because according to this, he has been missing crucial ingredients and steps in his own recipe. The Lu and Situ patriarchs point out that Master of Medicine Bai has no way of knowing that these pills are actually real or that they even work, but Master of Medicine Bai essentially tells them to mind their own business and not to bother the Tan family for a month. After most of the guests have left, Tan Yun takes a moment to explain the whole thing to his parents, how he caught Ruyan cheating on him with Jianan, how he overheard their conversation, and how he learned of the conspiracy, complete with the poisoned wine he was supposed to drink during the ceremony. When asked about the fetal spirit pills recipe, Tan Yun doesn't tell him that he's the reincarnation of Hong Men, but instead tells him that he simply learned of the recipe on his travels somewhere and forgot about it until now. His parents don't quite believe that story, but they don't push him for further details. When asked about the ceremony and the remaining guests, Tan Yun asked his parents for their blessing to marry Yukin, since they adopted her. Having been standing on the sidelines this whole time, Yukin drops the box she was holding in surprise, and Tan Yun's mother simply asked Tan Yun to ask Yukin if she would marry her. However, she also points out that Tan Yun has never displayed any real interest in Yukin before, and has even dismissed hints that he might want to marry her instead of Ruyan. Tan Yun disagrees, saying that he has loved Yukin his whole life, but has only realized this once he learned of the plot to kill him on his wedding day. Yukin is overjoyed, saying that she was so deeply in love with Tan Yun this whole time that she would be content to simply watch him from the sidelines once he married someone else, because she is of such low status to him that she never imagined she would be able to marry him. Tan Yun asked her outright if she would marry him, and Yukin picks up the box she dropped, revealing a pretty red wedding dress she was asked to pick out. Tan Yun turns to the remaining guests, the ones that didn't try to kill him and overthrow his family, and exclaims to get back to their seats because the wedding is still on. He even asked Master of Medicine Bai to be their waiter for the wedding, and Master of Medicine Bai accepts the honor. It is late once Yukin gets ready for her wedding with the help of her stepmother, and Master of Medicine Bai begins the ceremony. Just before they are about to drink the ceremonial wine and seal the deal, as they say, a man with silver hair and a circlet appears in the sky, canceling the wedding once again. Tan Yun, outraged, protests this intrusion and starts toward the man, but he is blasted back. Yukin gets between the man and her groom, which makes the man in the sky hesitate, and he decides to reveal his intentions instead of pushing Yukin aside. He explains that 15 years ago, a baby was left at the front gate of the Tan residence. He reveals that the baby had a jade pendant in its grasp, and on that pendant were intricate markings. On one side, it said Nangong, and on the other side, it said Yukin, the four names Tan Yun's parents gave Yukin. Tan Yun's mother corroborates this story because it was she who found Yukin on their doorstep and brought her inside. The man explains that he was sent by Yukin's mother, her birth mother, to bring her back from where she was sent away from, and Yukin refuses, claiming that she must have been sent away for a reason and that she belongs with the Tan family now. The man isn't happy with her answer and uses his power to lift her up in the air. Getting up, Tan Yun objects to the kidnapping, but the man simply blows Tan Yun away with a blast of energy. Before he can finish off Tan Yun for the audacity of trying to marry Yukin, Tan Yun's mother throws herself in the way, begging the man to spare her only son's life. Before the man can weigh taking the mother's life too, Yukin surprises everyone by procuring a knife, pressing it against her throat, and threatens to kill herself if the man refuses to let her go at once. Who is this man, and who is Yukin's mother, the woman who abandoned her 15 years ago? Why does she want her back now, on the day of her wedding? Has Tan Yun only received memories from Hongmen, or has he also received his god powers? Please like this video if you'd like to know more, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode of Against the Sky Supreme Anime Recap.